The Dwarves originally formed in Chicago in the mid-1980s under the name Suburban Nightmare. Singer Black Dahlia and guitarist HeWhoCannotBeNamed developed a dark garage rock psychedelic underground sound, a sound that continued on their first album as The Dwarves, Horror Stories, released in 1986 on the Vox label. While the style of music heard on Horror Stories was similar to the music they had been making with Suburban Nightmare, that would change with subsequent releases as they settled into a more late 80s, early 90s hardcore sound, heard on the Sub Pop release Blood, Guts, and Pussy, released in 1990. While the sound evolved, the subject of their music did not. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, and a hefty dose of violence. They became notorious for live shows involving onstage sex, hard drugs, and lots of nudity. Some shows over the years were even cut short due to violence and injuries in the audience.
Don't get too close to the stage. I have to be your fucking Hollywood asset, and you don't want that.
In 1993, the band issued a press release. In it, they announced that their often naked guitarist, HeWhoCannotBeNamed, had been stabbed to death in a fight in Philadelphia. They even attached a tribute to the guitarist on their 1993 release, Sugar Fix. The condolences poured in from fans around the world. Well, turns out it was a hoax. HeWho was just fine. The band called it a punk rock media exploitation, but Sub Pop wasn't in on the joke. The label even sent flowers to an address provided by the band and even received a thank you card from someone claiming to be from HeWho's family. When they found out it was a hoax, they dropped the band and issued a press release calling it a crass and inhuman stunt. The Dwarves took a 4-year break. They got back into the studio in 1997 and released The Dwarves Are Young and Good Looking on Theologian Records, settling into the sound that would continue on their next 7 full-length albums, released on labels like Epitaph, Reptilian, Sympathy for the Record Industry, and their own label, Greedy. HeWhoCannotBeNamed continues to play with the Dwarves alive, well, and mostly naked.